This episode is sponsored by Where to Shop and Dine. Download the app on Google Play Store or Apple App Store today. Connecting colleges and communities. You're watching SceneTV, and I'm Maya McNulty, your host. Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. Welcome back. Today in our studio is Herman Johnson. Welcome, Herman.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So it's been a couple years since I've seen you last, and Cerebral Sports, right. You are the founder, the owner. Tell us about the mission and what you're doing to change people's lives.
Well, initially it was to help athletes because I've always been a coach. Back in the 70s, I was a high school coach, and and I went on to college and also competed and became a coach myself. So I've always had these people who had problems with their performance. Not problems per se, because in practice, they would be perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. They would do the things that they needed to have done to compete and to win. In fact, some of my athletes were so good that they had national recognition. Mm-hmm. But that was easy to do because each athlete has the opportunity to make a mark, especially in track and field. And they would do that easily because they didn't have the emotional or mental pressure. So I had to figure out a way to get this national caliber athlete to change how they thought so that they could perform, because they were petrified when people from all over the U.S. came to watch him or her perform.
Well, the cerebral brain, right?
Yes, and that's where that name came from, Cerebral Sports. How that brain is going to affect your physical performance. Not only physical performance, but your mental performance, your work performance, your relationship performance, any performance that you are having a problem with. Okay. So I've developed that over the years. I started in the 70s. I went to college at the University of Jamestown in Jamestown, North Dakota. Mm-hmm. I have a degree in psychology, sociology. That was my double, and my minor was philosophy, religion. So I got into the head kind of the emotional, psychological, social aspect of performance and anxiety.
Kind of figuring out why we do what we do.
Yeah. So, or what stops us from doing what we want to do, because it's an impedance. If you're thinking too much, I tell golfers this because they love to, play their game, but they're thinking too much. If you just let go and do what you visualized in your mind, then you can carry out that function. But if anger's in the way and disappointment's in the way,
and the frustration, you kind of you self-sabotage yourself if you've already predicted the outcome. And that's not even
self-sabotage is the right word.
Yeah, and they haven't even had the outcome. They haven't even started.
Yes.
So.
And that's when I tell people, I give people the definition of worry.
So what is the definition of worry?
I was going to ask you. So if you tell me the definition of worry, I will make it straight for you, because there are all variations, but I would like to give you the true definition of worry. Can you?
So for me, the definition of worry would be predicting an outcome that hasn't already occurred.
Very good.
Okay.
Here's a very simple way. Repeat after me.
Okay.
Worry is projecting the future in the negative.
And in the negative? Okay. Oh, you're right.
If you're not
projecting the future in the negative.
Right. If you're not projecting in the negative, what is it?
It's going to be positive.
Very good.
Yes.
So when you have that fear, you have that anxiety, you're worrying because you're projecting. Mm-hmm. And did you learn it from somebody? Probably.
Yeah, it's some of the behaviors that we're taught. We think that that's the right behavior.
Well, they're kind of, yes, taught, but they can also be absorbed by the individual. It's just like your energy can be absorbed by somebody when you walk into a room. They see you got this beautiful smile on your face, and they know that you're projecting this energy throughout this whole room, and they will say those things about you. Look at Maya, she walks in this place, her smile is so big that she just sends energy everywhere. And that's what we are. If you've ever heard of a book called The Secret or DVD, that is all about the energy of the universe. And so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about spreading energy and love and happiness.
I'm certainly a firm believer in whatever you're putting out into the earth, the universe, definitely is the energy that you're propelling, or either propelling or going to retrieve.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And they say that music brings soul to the universe.
Yeah, I believe that
Yeah.
too. So
That's why I was like, I was thinking Prince, and I was thinking, wow, he
Yeah.
brought soul to the universe.
yeah, there's a
Wings
lot.
to the mind.
Yeah, music can definitely influence you
Yeah.
in business, in relationships, in the mood that you're
Right.
in. It can honestly, if you listen to certain music, it really can develop your day.
Absolutely.
So
Sure.
great. So let's talk a little bit about your experience. I love your business motto of holistic health.
Yes.
And you've incorporated that into your business and in your coaching style.
Right.
So you business coach and you have athletes that you coach as
I coach
well.
athletes. I also coach corporations.
Okay.
I go into a corporation, they will ask me to talk to one of their employees, and if they're willing to, I will, because I can't do anything if they're not willing.
Of course.
Right? And they'll suggest that people come and see me because they want them to be more involved in the operation of the corporation. Some may be children of the owners or the people who've developed whatever the business is, and they would want them to be more involved. And some aren't, and they would want them to, so they ask them to come see me. And some do, and some don't. And some do, and it doesn't work out because they don't want to yet, because you have to want to. And I will take those people that want to change and change how they act or react to certain circumstances.
Okay, so let's talk about you're meeting let's start with athletes. Okay. Because there's so much here. You're meeting with an athlete and you're doing a client profile and a performance enhancement. How do you go about all that, and even to know if that athlete is the right athlete to continue?
Right. Well, if that athlete comes to me, I will ask the person who sent him or her to me and say, what is he like, or what is she like? What does she do? What's not working for them?
Sure.
Because when they send them to me and I ask them, they might not even know themselves.
Of course.
Because it's so subconscious. Like I said, you can get this kind of behavior from someone. You can copy it, you can inherit it, you can observe it, and also have it subconsciously planted.
Yeah. We certainly can be influenced by our team and our environment.
Right, absolutely. And so I will ask the kid or the child or the adult, because I also work with professionals.
Right.
Lawyers, doctors, psychiatrists. So I've got a gamut of people that I work with. But if they don't know what's going on, and I tell them to talk to me and tell me what they think might be, then I pick the words, because words are very powerful.
Yes.
And words have a lot of meaning to a lot of people, and how they associate those words. If you came to me and told me that you wanted to be more productive as an individual, I would ask you your habits, like, are you eating well? Are you sleeping? Are you getting 8 hours? Yeah, all I need 5. Well, no, you need more than 5.
Right.
Why are you not getting 5? So those kinds of questions I would be asking, and then you would be talking about stuff, and it may be unrelated to what we're actually talking or discussing. I'll be able to pick out metaphors, because one of the techniques I use, it's pattern of behavior, but it's also a metaphor meaning lots of other stuff. And so I do a technique called metaphor engineering, where I take a metaphor like a weight on my shoulder, and I take it apart and I put it back together in a different form, so that if you change the metaphor, you change the behavior.
And you found this in athletes because they're just confused, or that
because they don't know what is. And some of these athletes are, no matter what age, are on medications. And so these medications make them maybe have wild dreams. Have these responses or reaction to the chemical reaction to the medication.
Sure.
So I've got to deal with that.
Yeah, I can see how the placebos would do that. So what is a training regimen or a program like with you?
As they come to me in my office, or as I go to them at their home, they're going to ask me, and just like I have clients in Long Island, actually. I have clients in Vancouver, Washington, in Portland, Oregon, in Vermont. I work with these people over the phone. And I have a young lady who plays a sport in 3 different places in New York. It's not the same person, it's 3 different clients that play sports in New York. But I will get on the phone and talk with them and see what part of their body they're feeling things in, because your body will tell you a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I have so many techniques that I just don't take one. I have to take the conversation, see where it goes, and see what I can do about it with the techniques that I have.
So now can you work with, not every client that comes to you is a client that you can work with.
Right.
So you have to make that distinction.
Right.
Now, what if they're not as serious? Like these athletes aren't as serious. Like it's very competitive out there. I mean, the 1% of the D1 players, and then just recreational players and stuff. So how do you differentiate and to know that they're not like, okay, I'm not a D1 player, so I'm not good enough. You know, how do you make them feel good enough?
Right. That's funny you say that, because you talk about one end of it, the end of are they serious enough? And there's the other end of it, are they too serious? So too serious may create an injury of some kind, and not serious enough may not get them in shape to go ahead and be confident about what they're going to do on the court or field or at work or giving a talk or sitting here chatting with you.
You are pretty confident. You know, I saw that you were also a 2-time All-American track and field star and an inductee into your College Athletic Hall of Fame. Tell us about that experience, because you're seeing athletes and you've been there where they're trying to aspire to go. So you can really lead as being a leader and having that experience. So tell us about that.
Well, that was actually circumstance, because I had no intentions of going to college. I was living up in Glens Falls. In fact, I was out of school working at GE. GE was supposed to be there forever. It's not, of course. and some friend of mine came over to visit and said, "Hey, listen, we need a triple jumper out in North Dakota." I said, "North Dakota?" He goes, "Yeah."
So you won this triple jumping by default?
I had the record at the high school at Glens Falls. I don't have it anymore. My brother broke it, so.
Figures, right?
So he says, "We need a jumper." I said, yeah, whatever. He says, "Give the coach a call." Little did I know that once you call the coach can call you as many times as they want. And so that's what they did. They called me and called me incessantly. And I said, "Okay, I'll quit GE and go to college." And then when I got to college, I got into, I've always been involved in psychology because my mother was actually in Glens Falls, the Community Action Agency executive director. She started a Head Start program back in the 60s. She started a community garden. She started all kinds of things up in Glens Falls. And so I was always around destitute type people. And I've always wanted to help people. And so I got into psychology and I stayed into it. And I said, as I competed, I worked out all the time, went to breakfast, worked out again, went to lunch, you know, how college was. In North Dakota, there was nothing else to do. So I was in great shape because that's all I did was constantly work out and study. That's all you can do. There's not much downtown. I joined a fraternity and was all great and had a good time. And by the time the 4 years was up, I said, "Okay, well, what do I need to get out of here?" And they said, "Well, if you take this class, you can have a degree in psychology. If you take this one, you can have a degree in sociology. And if you stay the summer, you can have both degrees and a minor in philosophy, religion." I said, "Okay, I'll stay." So I stayed and had a good time. And then I came back home and started working at Glens Falls Hospital in the mental health unit. They call it behavioral health now. Worked at a health club because I've always been fit. I've always worked people out and a personal trainer. And then I started working at a elementary school teaching PE classes at noon. So I had about 4 or 5 jobs at a time.
Yeah, well, you're a hustler. So good.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about the respect issue, how important that is in an athlete, and your culture that you bring to these athletes.
Yeah. Well, respect. I mean, what can you say about that? If you show respect to one person, they're going to show it back. And that respect has no color barrier. It has no religious barrier. It has no ethnic barrier whatsoever. Mutual respect, always everything. And then if you can teach that, or you can instill it and show it somehow, and they pick that up, that's a good thing you want someone to pick up from you.
Sure.
And so I treasure that term. I treasure that atmosphere. And I treasure that trust because if you don't have any respect, you can't trust too many people.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's a relationship or sports or otherwise, business.
Yeah, and you also take a holistic approach to your practice. So expand on that.
Okay. My holistic approach is actually the subconscious mind. We have two minds. We have the conscious, we have the subconscious. Well, the conscious mind is you and I are sitting here talking to each other. Our brain waves are at 14 to 21 cycles per second.
They're
That's how
peaking.
they measure. Well, my objective is to take that brain activity of beta brain wave of 14 to 21 cycles per second to bring it down to 0.05 cycles per second.
Okay.
It's almost like if you're sleeping and if you were in a coma. I actually had a client who was coming to me in Glens Falls, and we were doing sessions, and he called me or texted me the next day and said, "Hey Herman, listen, we've got to stop our program. I'll get back to you once I know what's next." I said, "Okay, fine." And I texted and said, you think you could tell me what's going on?" He goes, "Yeah, well, I listened to you and I went to the hospital and I have a brain tumor
Oh, goodness.
and I have to go and get an operation tomorrow." I said, "Oh, okay. All right."
And that
So
was all a result of slowing his brain down?
No, it was stuff he's done in his childhood or throughout his adulthood. He went to college. He was a football player. So it's just something that was growing there, but he hadn't noticed it, or he had some physical things going on with him that he didn't put them together because he didn't go check it out. And so I said, "Okay, let's do this. Let's do a guided imagery visualization for you so that you can sleep really deep. And not only will you be able to sleep really deep, you're going to tell every aspect of your body, your cells, your tissue, your every organ in your body what to do. You're going to tell that your body that you want it to be very relaxed. You want it to trust the doctor because they've been doing it for a very long time.
Sure.
You want to tell the muscles to shunt the blood flow. These can all happen. And you want to recover, and you want to ask for what you need so that you can recover really well.
Yeah.
You're going to drink water, and you're going to start eating food so that you can repair yourself. And so we did that. Took 25 minutes. We went into a deep state of relaxation. I gave him the visual, because when you're talking to the subconscious mind, it always pays attention and it's always alert. Okay? So that's the part I work with. That part, it's going to do everything it's supposed to do. That's the part that makes you blush when you get embarrassed. That's the part that heals scarred skin. That's the part that regulates your blood flow. That's the part that keeps you still while sleeping so that you don't act out your dreams.
So that's a big subconscious mind. That's deep.
It's huge. It's like 95% of you.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a room, there's all kinds of stuff your conscious mind and subconscious mind are doing. Your conscious mind will take in 4 bits of information, and the subconscious mind takes in 400 bits of information.
Per
Conscious
second
mind,
or?
per second.
Okay.
The conscious mind can't pick up all that stuff, but the subconscious mind can.
So subconscious mind every 4 seconds can pick, or every second can pick up 400 bits of
4
information.
million bits.
4 million.
Yeah, lots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's huge. But anyway, so we did that. I did it over the phone, and then once I was finished, I said, "Okay, take your headphones off, put them down, and just go on to sleep, or turn off your phone and go to sleep." Well, he put his headphones down. He didn't turn off his phone, which is fine, because that means that he was in the deepest state possible.
Yeah.
And that's the state they want to put you in when you get on medication. They want you to put you in that they call it a coma, right? They put you in a medically induced coma. That's the same stage without the medicine. Most medicines can't get you to that level. But I did, and I could hear everything in the background, people in the suite talking, nurses walking back and forth. So I called him the next day and I said, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh man, it was great." Because I was totally out. Like, "Oh, I know you didn't turn off your phone." He goes, "I know, I just so deep." So they had the operation, they did it for 10 hours straight. there was a crease that this tumor was at. It was easy to get to. 10 hours.
Oh, so
easy
it's
to get
almost
to.
like you visualized it rising and just exiting your body.
They
Make
took
it
it out.
easy for him.
They took it out, and he had no pain. And we did another session that same night. Same thing happened. He went into a deep, deep, deep sleep. Got up the
Sometimes
next
you
day.
think that people are just so stressed out that they're just failing to unplug, and social media and all these things that are coming in to influx and poison our time
Right.
and our minds and our bodies, that maybe we could just say enough's enough and back off, that you don't need to have all these gizmos and gadgets
Right.
that are like causing waves in our bodies 24/7.
Yeah, yeah. And after a couple of days, he was up walking around the halls, ready to work out. Mm-hmm. The doctors are going, "What the heck?"
With his brain, okay. Wow.
And they're amazed how he recuperated, and he's doing really well. He's going to
So
college
that's like the
right
power
now.
of focus too, focusing on what you're really trying to accomplish in your mind, your
Right.
body, your spirit, your soul.
Absolutely.
So that's all within your holistic approach.
It's all within everyone's holistic
Okay. So
ability.
Well, exactly. So you're saying that each person holistically is in charge of themselves
Yes.
and whatever they're creating to be.
Right. And you can take charge of that too.
If somebody wanted to get in touch with you to learn more about your program, your holistic approach, or even athlete coaching or coaching in the corporations and the
Right.
corporate, how do we do that?
You can call me at 518-260-3588, or you can go online and go to www.amentalist.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
So spell a mentalist for them, and so that they get that clear.
AMENTALIST.com.
Very good. Very good. So. You are a native New Yorker, so tell us about that experience. And then your mom, did she move up to Glens Falls to take on that program as the director up there, or how did that all work out?
No, she actually moved up there from Luverne, Alabama.
Okay.
And she moved up there in the early 60s, and her husband started a restaurant. And so they had a restaurant up there for a couple of years, and they moved within Glens Falls, the city limits, and stayed different part of the town. But they needed someone to start a community action agency. And she took on that job and was in it for a very long time, and ultimately became the executive director.
Yeah.
She started out actually not being able to read or write.
Wow, what a brilliant story.
Yeah, she came a long way.
Yeah, wow.
She even
And she must be so proud of you too, a double major, a Hall of Famer. I mean, you just never know, you know, it's so inspiring. And that's probably one of the reasons why you are so inspiring to other athletes. Because really you could start from anywhere and become this amazing person.
You can, yeah. There are no limits to whatever you imagine.
Yeah,
you can do.
It's your subconscious mind.
It's your subconscious mind, and that there's a great book out on neuro. It has to do with the neurons in the brain, and they have to. It's neuroplasticity is the science behind it, but. It has to do with your thought patterns and how you can change any behavior that you actually want just by doing something or thinking something different. Thinking is doing. And so just by thinking a thought, you can create something. In fact, everything that we're surrounded by right now, the clothes you're wearing, the earrings you have on, whatever, all that had to be a thought before it became a reality. This building, this couch we're sitting on, everything.
Yeah.
And so if you think it enough, it will become. It has a higher probability of becoming than not.
Well,
right?
Good. Yeah, you got to keep putting it out, the energy out there. So what are some of the programs that you teach in your holistic training?
Okay. I do something called metaphor engineering. A lot of people have not heard of it, but that's okay. That makes me the expert, right? But metaphor engineering is if you give me a metaphor or we talk about something and then I ask you, what's that like? Tell me about something in your life and tell me what it's like. You don't have to say what it is. Go ahead and do that.
Tell you something that I don't have to say it. Okay.
No, you don't have to say it. Okay? You think about it. Okay?
Okay.
Say that you like think that there's a brick wall in front of you.
Oh, I just thought vacation in my mind. There was no brick wall there. Sandy beaches. Yeah, come on.
Well, that won't, yeah.
That's not going to work.
Well, that's going to be fine.
That's what my vision was.
That's highly therapeutic, yes. But I was thinking that's something that's stopping you from doing or being.
Maybe because before we started this episode, I went into a little trance and breathing and subconsciously was envisioning relaxation. So I was thinking palm trees and beach.
Yeah,
so
that's okay.
So that's the first thing that came to mind when you said that.
And that's good. That's great because that is very therapeutic, it's very relaxing, and that's what's supposed to happen. But if you have an issue with life, business, or sport, or relationships, then you may be feeling like your feet are stuck in mud, or like your relationship is floating forever, or whatever the like is. The metaphor is what we deal with. And if you say, oh, well, I have this brick wall in front of me, and I say, well, what color is it? And then I say, how tall is it? And then I say, how wide is it? And I say, what are you standing on? See, these are all of you figuring out the color and size and shape. And all these things are metaphorically can be reproduced or resituated so that maybe if you saw something on the ground that could probably break this wall down, you could probably do it too. And now I'm talking to you at this level, but in a very relaxed state where you're totally relaxed at a 0.05 cycles per second, then I'm totally talking to your subconscious mind. I'm not talking to your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is the one that sits on that left shoulder and says, hey, that's not right. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Or, you can't do that. It's all the negative.
Sure.
It's all the questioning. It's all the logic. So that's the left brain. It's very logical.
I'm a very left brain person.
You can be both, but I would
no,
have to
I am.
determine.
I'm trying to balance it.
Oh, okay.
But I think I'm pretty left brain.
Okay.
So
you're numerical. You're a scientist. You're the
maybe
the doctor,
not. Maybe
you're
not
the
then.
lawyer. So
I definitely can argue and definitely present a defense. And
can you be very creative in your argument?
Yes. Yeah. I think so. I think so.
And so the right brain is the creative.
The show is my right brain.
Yeah, there you go. Dealing with your daughter is probably your right brain too.
Parenting is definitely creative.
You have to improvise at all times at a moment's notice.
So, what else would you like to share with our audience so that they can get more knowledge about your practice and what you do with athletes and how you've helped them to really truly excel? I'm not sure if we covered everything today, and I'm certain we haven't covered everything today because they certainly need to reach out to you. But is there anything that you'd like to expand on?
Well, as far as relaxing people or having them understand what their limitations are and how they should get out of that
like
situation.
Meditation, for example. A lot of times people are very confused about how to meditate. For me, when I start thinking of all this stuff coming at me and all this energy and it's like overwhelming, so I'll just say, close my eyes and I'll say release, release, release. And I'll just continue to do that. So if something comes in at me, and I'm trying to release for maybe 10, 15 minutes. Usually in the mornings is when I meditate. And so that helps to clear my mind and get me going. Other than that, it's Mom, my lunch, or or pick me up, or I need this, or I forgot my uniform. But other than that, I really try to, because I need that balance, and I do definitely try to put that energy out there. So, what advice would you give to people if they wanted to just slow their brain down a little bit? Is there a technique or a tip?
Would you like me to show it to you?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So if you can use this technique at any time. If you have a problem with sleeping and you wake up in the middle of the night, you can do this technique. If you're sitting down to take a test, you can use this technique. If you you feel frustrated or tired or whatever, you can use this technique because it will slow your brain down. Would you like me to fully demonstrate the whole thing?
Well, in like 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds. Okay, that's fine. So what I typically do with people when I go give a presentation or whatever, I will ask them to do this little exercise so that they will slow their brains down so that I can have their full attention so that I can do my thing. But I'm going to say set, go. And when I say go, I want you to take your right index finger and put it against your right nostril
Okay.
and only breathe out of your left nostril
Okay.
with your mouth closed. You can't breathe out of your mouth or anything else. All you can do is breathe out of your left nostril.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm going to time you for 30 seconds.
Okay.
And you're going to love this because it's really helpful. Set.
Mm-hmm.
Take your right index finger.
Yeah.
Go. Okay, now put your hand down and relax. Now when I do that, some people will go into relaxation immediately. Some people will not. And the reason they are not is because they're questioning, they're doubting, they're using that left brain too much.
Yeah.
And so to get that, you just need practice doing that. If you can do that for 60 seconds, no matter what you're doing, in fact, you can do it to kids if they're being crazy, not crazy, but upset, or, okay, I got a story about that. I was a coach at Concordia University in Portland, Oregon. We flew out to St. Louis for a national championship. We had 50 athletes. We competed. On the way back, we were pulling out of O'Hara. We were backing out. And I was sitting in the aisle because I always have the athletes come and talk to me whenever they needed to. And I typically open a book and read it. And I'm reading my book. And then all of a sudden, a couple come down the aisle and they sit right next to me, an aisle over. And mom and dad and infant and probably 10-year-old are sitting in that seat. And the infant is screaming and yelling and crying and kicking. And all of a sudden, I'm down here reading. You ever feel eyes on you? Well, I feel these eyes on me, and I look up, and all these athletes are going. I said, oh, okay. So I said to the mom, I said, I can help you with your kid. And they go, I would think they would say, no way, don't touch my kid. This lady goes, here. So I said, okay, I don't need to hold them. I'll let you do it. So I did what's called EFT. It's tapping. It's a psychological acupuncture. It's using the same meridians that an acupuncturist would use to lower your chi, to balance your chi. And so I said, okay, so we started and we did this, and he's not flailing as much. He stopped crying a little bit more. This was like 30, 40 seconds into the thing. And he all of a sudden goes, this kid did not wake up until the wheels touched the ground in Portland, Oregon. That's 5-hour trip.
Do you think this is anxiety because it's so nervous? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a 5-hour trip.
Yeah. Wow. That's good for the mom.
So he wakes up and he goes,
where am I?
And he's looking around, he looks at me, big old smile on his face.
Well, that's good. So Herman Johnson, thank you so much for sharing your story today on SceneTV. It was such a pleasure to learn more about the subconscious mind. What a pleasure it is to see you again as well. Thanks so much.
It was a pleasure.
Great.